Hello, this is Master Limited back for another video. This time we will be doing the Smuta period. Starting with the Republic Triumph. There were a brief moment for just a day or two, but a moment when we all felt doomed, flanked by authoritarian forces on which the people of Komi lost their hope for their republic. Though we've lived, us remember that feeling, hopelessness. It must become an alien drought to the people of Komi. They need safety and security. They need institutions that can trust. They can trust. They need a state they can rely on. We have one today. We must make certain we win tomorrow. So I did a few things off screen, mostly agreeing for us to reunification of Volgada and deleting the Russian Revolutionary Army. Cheap, possibly. Do I care? No. Presidium has destroyed Saka, and Kamarov seems to have united Central Siberia. Also, the West African War happens. Also, Operation Southern Cross. And the creation of the Federation of Karakalpak Uzbek people will exist. Vikia is going after the Aryan Brotherhood. Kamarov unites Central Siberia, now the Grand Principality of Central Siberia. The Aryan Brotherhood has taken over Ufa, is invading Vitka. The SS is dead, and now we invade West Russia. Also, the Mandarin, most likely Kirk's wins the Far East. Plans, counterplans, and campaigns. The general staff stood at attention of Stalin entered. At ease, she told him. Taking her seat at the head of a table, there was business to attend to, and at the top of the list, the reclamation of Russia. The time was approaching, and she wasn't leaving this room until there was a plan. I appreciate your promptness, she began, but there is work to be done. I expect you'll have numbers of plans already. Gabov, you indicated you're begun this process. Yes, ma'am. General Nikolai Gabov. Due to numerous hostile states around us, several plans and counteroffensives in the event of attack have already been drafted. I am confident that a majority of the plans will be converted into proper offensive campaigns. She nodded sharply. Grigorenko, Ponkus, Korolikov. Is this feasible? More importantly, will it be effective? General Yukov of Ponkus spoke to the men she'd call out. I believe it is, for the most part, Madam President, she said. Obviously there isn't a clear conversation, but given the limited time, this allows us to prepare our forces for a campaign with a minimal disruption. We have to distribute this to our subordinates, General Korolov added. While completely new plans would be optimal, without preparation it could cause confusion instead of clarity. There are costs and benefits at any plan, but the final decision will be yours. She nodded. This was so what she had called them for, and armed with the information they were providing, she expected these issues which would be resolved in short order. She expected this would be a productive meeting indeed. I concur, but trust your judgment. Give me the details. We need, yeah, that's the right amount. The priorities of the Assembly. The matters of state are already known to us. Our forces must move to liberate a great patch of Russia. Our enemies flicker and fratter, destroying much of the nation in the process. It appears for now that we are succeeding, yet we cannot forget that there is more to our republic than simply the boons of our military victory. The National Assembly, newly elected, must carry on its stated mission. It cannot simply conduct a war, it must conduct a nation, one which is determined to develop the republic into a true nation. Our democracy must now do its mission, and we will all be better for it. Charge. Brazilian 100 days. You've just taken Valente Osturieg. Now we charge Archangels. The arrival of the anti-communist guard. Great news has arrived for our country. It is no secret that the war against the West Russian Revolution, the vanguard of socialism in the region, has been a difficult struggle, and one that has forced us to use everything we have to our disposal. After all, the Russian war, and it has finally after all, the front is the remnant of an old movement from the days of the West Russian War, and it has finally decided to reclaim its place as a formidable power in the country. Thankfully for this, for us who dare to challenge it, we found an ally in the hostile environment, and it is the Anti-Communist Volunteer Guard. Today, one of many recruitment centers we have set up to help the mobilization, 100 men appeared seemingly out of nowhere, requesting they participate in the struggle against the West Russian Revolutionary Front. When asked about their background, they made the situation much clearer. They were proud Russians from Onega, the warlord state famous for resisting the front against all odds with Finnish support. It seems that General Shepetnikov's regime has been successful in cultivating patriotic sentiment. Of course, our government and the High Command have welcomed the arrival of the Anti-Communist Volunteer Guard, and a special unit of Onegans has been quickly organized and sent to the front. While it may not be much, it is still useful in this war. Even the smallest help counts, so get 185 men and infantry equipment. And the red group have cooed Paraguay. We've also took Australia. Comprehensive strategic analysis plan. Socialists have taken over Ukraine. They're invading. West Russia is invading Volgograd. The Committee for the Liberation of the Russian People is invading Bashkortostan. Tag Sam to delete their troops. Counting at one. Tatarstan and Volgograd are the only three nations we can peacefully annex or reunify with. So it's better if they win, so we don't have to fight as many wars. Also, it seems that Orenburg's turned more communist. com. The autosave is Italy's invading Croatia. Order amongst war. Order, Stalin has always wanted it, ever since she founded herself in Komi at the end of the chaos, the insanity, and the outright nasty politics. I need to... It was mandated which she was elected under, and she could say that she has delivered in the middle of a war nonetheless. Stretches are always good for you people. Back to chair. She watched the chairwoman Bonner brought bill after bill for the war through the assembly. Each was crafted meticulously from her experience, and each passed better than she could have imagined. Damn. If it was not beautiful, suddenly thought to herself, especially knowing all the work would go into preserving the Republic. Most beautiful of all, though, were the empty seats. No godless communist trying to restart the revolution, no fascist attempting to rebuild the state. There was an image that destroyed it. In the image that destroyed it, just honest Democrats doing the work that should have been done in the first place. Pride and glee set in for the president as she cracked her knuckles in a moment of reflection. Beauty was the right word too. There was no yelling amongst the parties, no threats, no risk of assassinations. All Stalin heard was music, the music of rational debate, of sane individuals, free of moronic ramblings. There was even without a threat of those no-good extremists. That, indeed, the finest crafted ballot was a magnificent side to the president. She would have to come back again sometime. At last, the play has come to an end. As the reception representatives fill out the National Assembly, Selina headed for the chairwoman. That was masterfully done, Bonner. I'm impressed. Generally, the whole proceeding was a beautiful display. Finally, everyone working together. Pierre Sedon has taken over president. Tag WRS. Delete troops. Tag com. Next focus, the Queen of Swords. The people of the Republic have elected a new leader. Svetlana Yosifovna Stalina comes to Svitke as a breast professor, a competent and focused woman, to replace the boorish populist of old. Yet a queen only as good as her deeds, and her nation with a plan for rapid remilitarization and reclamation. Stalina wishes to serve a nation from the extremism that has so cruelly broken it. Her Russia will be stable and formed, rebuilt from ashes into a new and better land. Russia has always held the promise of superpower status under Stalina, Queen of Swords. It will be. Break through their lines. Oh, so they get to choose. Oh. Should have. Oh, of course. Bogota declined. This. What happened to traitors? Oh, piss. Well, afterwards we'll just invade Volgograd. Do it the old-fashioned way. Queen of Swords. The emblem of a nation. The people of Russia are tired of war. Trapped in this eternal battle, they feel lorded over by enemies, foreign forces that have pillaged their lands and give little in return. Decades of poor rule by poor rulers have drained the morale of the people of Russia, yet this is no reason to give up the fight. Indeed, we must bridge the gap between our military and our people. For recruitment campaigns, we can bring the people closer to the army. Through military reconstruction and service, we can show the people now their soldiers can come to their aid. Through improved training, we can be certain our army is loyal and just. In time, the people will come to see just how good our army truly is. So the now capital is in Mezin. Qualities of life. There was Stalina's thought. Something personally satisfying about conducting unplanned visits. It's likely going to take some time for everyone to get used to the fact that this was something she would do on occasion, even if it was on what would very well be the front lines soon. The outpost was a small one containing only old anti-aircraft batteries being maintained along the Vietka River, but it nonetheless was going to be along the front lines mind control. When the fighting reached here, to the credit, the soldiers quickly scrambled to attention, and while the ranking officers were surprised, he displayed admirable professionalism, and he showed her around the site. She mostly nodded around, interjecting a few places concerning the state of defense, but for the most part it appeared that the men were prepared. Instead, she was focused on several minor elements that had caught her attention, one of which she finally pointed out for the officer. I haven't seen many bandages. She turn off my TV. My thing I want to turn it off. She indicated a few spare bars, cabinets in the outpost. Why have they not been replenished? The officer shifted uncomfortably. No replacements available, Madam President. We have to make do with what we have. No priority for. Make it one, she told him. I need soldiers in the front lines who don't have to fear bleeding out and their injuries. Cut it in the request along the other minor materials you need. I'll see it is perfectly approved. Officer nodded emphatically. I'll see to it immediately. Selena inclined her head in return and gestured for him to finish his tour for her impromptu visit. It would take a few days for the materials to arrive, but when they did, she hoped the men would be grateful for the supplies, such as it was. Such was deserved for the men who would fight and die for Russia. We've won, but somehow Volgada's got archangels for dumb reasons. Occupy that and prepare to fight Volgada. Oh yeah, Poland and Greece. Conservatives elected in Colombia. T debug. One of the many hacks I've done today. Tag vol. And start deleting troops. Tag com. Debug. Yeah, put the rest of the troops on. Put 5 on you. Put 3 on you. And get 2 on a new army that will garrison against the Order of St. George or Gaini. And Nikolai Gubov. No. The Independent Supervisory Act. One problem with rapid expansion traits is the lack of administration. Kobe was, after all, only ever set up to administer a small region, not a fifth of all Russia. Even holding votes is impossible while borders shift and surveys are unreliable. Instead, we must wish to rely on a simpler method. The Independent Supervisory Act gives the Republican Army the ability to independently appoint local civilian officials to govern newly reclaimed territory, as well as giving civilian government access to reports on the front lines. Through these policies, the government and the military can work harmoniously on the front lines without the redundancies required by attempting the unwieldy civilian administration. You go forth. Tagged Sam to delete some troops. Tag back to com. The Volga men. You to Antarov. You to Shak. Oh yeah. Fix the board there. Now propose X to near Doma. You deflex. Because I want to deflex on them. Ha ha ha. Paragon Bush War. That guy died. That's been done. That's alright with. So the foundations, the restoring of the march of the multitude. From an outsider's point of view, it may seem as though there are many individuals with valid claims to be the true Russia. If so, they would be sorely mistaken. Even disregarding the fact that many of the statelets have run by selfish despots or outright criminals, it is clear that it is our republic, and only our republic, that truly represents the will of the people, Russian people. We are beset on all sides by monarchists, military governments, and Nazis, as well as also independence movements, but those are very in between sort of thing. Do they represent the people who choke under the yoke? Certainly not, as the true democracy, the best representation of the will of the people, it is in the duty of to maintain unity as well as to work to restore Russia. That happened. Long road to victory. Mayors, bureaucrats, and Republican army officials surrounded Stalina, and she sat on the desk. 4 dozen of cameras pointed in her direction as she prepared to sign the Independent Subsidiary Act to law, another necessary measure in the reclamation of what was set to begin. A certain process is needed to put into place. One concern that had emerged was the appropriating and managing the civilian administration they would capture. Stalin did not want the civilian officials want to implement intermediate martial law, as she believed and other officials concurred on, that sooner civilian rule was established the better. The act was intended to facilitate by allowing Republican army officials to appoint civilian officials whose to government positions in addition expanding assets of the government as they pertained to military intelligence, reports and overviews analysis concerning the war from the front would be availability to them and subsequently allow them to inform as to the state of the war. It was the kind of useful, pragmatic legislation she expected of the legislature. Soon there were doubtless those going to argument that giving the military powers to appoint civilian officials wasn't a good solution to the problem. However, it was sufficient for what they needed. Besides, the people would be grateful that military rule was not being enforced. Stalina signed her name on the document with a polite pause of the attendees, and a snap of the flash of cameras. Journalists shouted questions and controlled to get clever to as the departed mind already focused on over a dozen tasks facing her. However, something important had been achieved today. Another step to victory, another step to a unified Russia. Kostroma, YouTube, Bundle. Yeah. You go to there. He's nope, that was someone else. Rickson, I guess resigns already. Peaches, Deshexna, Yugo. War Foreman wins the German Civil War. That guy does stuff. German Britain falls. Vol, not going to do the next focus until I've destroyed Volgada. Even though they have no capital. Tag com. There we go. Chevalier takes over the AT. You go to Gorky. Occupy Volgada. And propose reunification with Tatarstan. Alright. With Archangels back in the grips. Restoring the foundation. In the wake of the massive insurrection, our civil institutions, the backbone of our democracy, are shot, whether it be problems with staffing, fears of violence, outright chaos. Those departing of the government are hampered. Despite our victories, Comey remains without borders. While it may not be a romantic notion, be as romantic a notion as restoring democracy, restoring order is our first and utmost priority. A stable and functional nation state is the core of our society, as is any proper nation. Without it, we will fall to ruin. So we either have this or this. I think especially seeing a civilian firearm is a better choice. We'll talk about that focus when we get to it. Allow Diplo. So improve relations. That's happened. You get silhouette production and large scale sizes. I'm just gonna have a bad day. You know what? Gotta do something fun. T-debug, because I completely forgot what that was. Yeah, tag SVR. lot, excuse me. Delete all of you, and tag Sama. Delete you, tag BKR. Just that guy to Simberg. This guy to there, and this guy to there, and this guy to there, just in case. Alright. Tag com and tdebug. Tdebug. Restore Sonic Conquered Debt. Restoring the foundation. Register civilian firearms. How do we rid our streets of violence? The obvious answer is to take away the tools for such violence, but in the whirlwind madness of Russia vs. Fool's Gambit, we are starved for manpower, starved for weapons, starved for resources to conduct such as mass pacification, yet there is a clearer way. We will make certain that all citizens register their arms while banning any further sales of this nature. Those with weapons will be registered automatically to the Territorial Defense Force. They'll be well versed in arms. After all, it may not be as simple as first confiscation, but this subtler method will work a lot better. Brotherhood's dead, very good. And we maybe get. Okay, so the vote of Volgada's generals. To the visitors go the spoils, and our contestant against Volgada. We have certainly been the victor. Land, cities, resources fallen into our hands, but so have perhaps just as valuable our vanquished enemies' finest personnel. Currently, their generals languish in our prison, stripped of their title and honors, but it doesn't have to be this way. We could put their skills on our side, or we could just release them solely to let them live their retirement out as civilians. On the other hand, we gladly fought against them. Perhaps they deserve to stay in jail. Fogger's generals characterized much of their regime was by a lack of rigor. This quality led them to lay down their arms in the face of German onslaught, suggesting that they may simply not be reliable for our future moves. Yes, right. However, it could be decisions simply made in the face of the collapsing Russian Revolution front, and their pragmatism in the worthy quality when serving under a government perpetually vexed by ideological radicalism. Should the defense of neutrality be so harshly punished? Release them and restore their positions. After all, we always need generals. Yet can maybe trying to invade us. Set battle plans for. Okay. Okay, then. Level up. There we go. Light artillery. Officers veins the lots. Civilian firearms. Formalize the national claims. Who is the Komi Republic? Suddenly it is far more just than Komi people. Our leadership are primarily Russian and have many imaged themselves as a smaller national state. Yet, for all, all this time, we have left unclear just how much land we claim. With the Russian Civil War burning bright, time to stake our claim has come. Using the imperfects of the USSR, the United Soviet Socialist Republic, smaller Russian state service, is as a functional boundary for the Russian state, free of imperialism. Other former imperial territories will be also allowed to join, but only as their discretion. Finally, we can sing in one voice. We are Russia, and Russia will be saved. Assassination attempts on Sutra. Big move for both our sakes. T debug tag Yit. All your troops. Good. Through. Tag com. Tag tar. Nothing. Okay. Tag com. I don't want to get the game to destroy my army. I've built it up quite well. I don't want it to be destroyed. Infantry kit. Go to Vietka. Good men. For you. And they refuse to offer as well. For the love of God. But Kurdistan also refuses the offer. I'm gonna go mad. Redefine election cycles. War is no time for an election. Our territory changes daily. With the times of the Smuta, our people risk death if they stray too close to a polling station from any lives are too chaotic, too complex to fit into the arduous complexities of democratic models. We need stability and strength, and for a moment an election would provide neither. Instead, the Assembly will agree to delay the election until the situation west of the Urals have stabilized, or until 4 years have passed, whichever comes first. It only be at the point that we will integrate our new lands into democratic models. Until then, we await the day the light of liberty and touch all corners of the territory. Insurgency like taking 80 other things. Take Glazov. Sedan dissolves the assembly. The Siberian battery has destroyed the Zalot Republic. Kennedy assassinated. The exit mechanical plant captured after conquering the Nazis control Hungary. In West Russia used pump pistols. After the cross the Russian front, the factory reported Vladimir Romanov for purpose test the Russian late Tsar, who used it to build up his reactionary force, played a regional dominant. Now that the plant is solidly ours, we can use it the same purpose to Great Britain Europe won the West Russian War in one of the primary producers of large numbers of soldiers to ensure armies more firearms and drown them with waves of lead. Now its capital is Uranus. There, we won. Now, please, if you don't do it, I'm going to go mad. Behind closed doors, Stalin pushed open the heavy run doors as she entered the cramped, windowless room. In her view were all the members of her cabinet and Edo, two of the trustworthy parties in the Republic. Voronov and Morozov. The whole room stared at her as she entered. She turned around and locked the door, keeping her audience waiting. This was a higher-level meeting, after all. Though she was a woman who held all the cards. At least though she gave them what they wanted. I have called a meeting today to discuss the future of the Republic. As the Smuta ends, we face of how to manage the future elections. The old system simply won't work. I was thinking of calling new elections in a few months for the new districts, but I am open for ideas at the end of the speech. As she turned to change one, Bonner her suggestions. Bonner only smiled as Stalin gave her the stage. Well, I suggest a 4-year alternative. If we don't unify the Urals within 4 years, we hold new elections. Although codifying such a thing might require some changes, such as a new constitution. Then Stalin looked around the room, to find it surprisingly calm and with the new suggestion. In fact, the room itself was complete agreement with the chairwoman's suggestion. Not a single complaint was raised, including from the two-party heads. Knowing that the two, they probably saw it as an opportunity to take her spot. Sina thought, however, that would not happen. She would make it sure of it. The rest being dragged on, settling the finer details of the things. However, the framework was set as Selina prepared to unlock the door, she paused for a second, thinking of the future. Trustfully was a part of her was scared of failure, but it it was nothing new, for she knew she would conquer her challenges just as she had done so many times before. Everyone else was just happy they could leave the sweltering room. So a bit of uh, stuff happened there. Reinforced census apparatus. The current Republic's weak civilian agency extended to many tasks, including that of the census. Our previous census were confusing, being arcane and worst of all inaccurate, creating maps of little practical use of our government. We were left to work half-blind, fix with mistakes as they come. Now, for our administration overhauls can remodel this archaic symbol system. All the census will be redone from scratch, probably reflecting the population of the coming republic. From new territories, our ethnographics will fall in lockstep with our soldiers, charting our land as we take them. Only through charting our land and as we take them, only through these bold methods, shall we gain true understanding as just who lives in our republic. Do that. Do this. And wait 30 more days. Also occupy yet to go. Oladilla Gobornik has secured Musquin. Albania gains control. Sowing the seeds. As we begin reclamation, a long list of tasks present itself. We need to reintegrate the rest of Russia and make use of new land, utilize the new factories and involve the new people. It has become quite clear to us that what worked when we were small is insufficient, and as we continue to grow, we must begin to reorient our economy, and the sooner the better, considering the amount of work that needs to be done. It may be thankless work now, but the people will be grateful for us having done it. Orders. That's happened. Nine, 8, Later goes say, what self-proclaimed successor of the Tsar sought and saw Russian regime that said most out far-right elements within the Republic, trusting their ideology fellow travellers are may will prove a poor idea. Nonetheless, it is known that Vietco was not ideologically monolith, much as its white predecessors were, as that many of its ideologies, including some of the army, had something akin to our own democracy. Should their fight for the Tsar be considered treacherous, or should certain more moderate generals be entrusted in defense of our democracy? Release them and saw their position, because you should always get more generals when you can. Most because you don't get any more once you lose them. One please be the one that agrees. So the sea's done. Because they haven't told us yet. Economics of war. Sturdy tent away against from Svitga, the Minister of Finance, Kantorovich, stepped out of the snow and meets his current client. It has been a sudden request, well, behest of the boss, President Stalin. Now he stood before Kerr's most hardened men, and General Gorenko, waiting for him with determination in his eyes. The two shook hands before the general cut the chase. I need motor vehicles, Minister. Our stretch of Russia is wide and cruel. More transport would go a long way in remedying that. We can only keep ourselves stocked with what we capture for so long. Gorenko cleared his throat. That is if President Stalin wants to win the war. Kantorovich scratched his head, the back of his head, and closed his ears. The general easily thread strong, but it did not worry him. What did was find a suitable supply of such sort notice. He knew a few who might be willing to help, but they would have a cost. And again, there was always something in after every victory, so it might not be as bad as we originally thought. Alright, I'll get you the trucks, General. Gorenko smiled at the news. Before he could reach a handshake to the Minister of Finance, however, I'm going to need a report and access to the next factory you find. Preferably 1 or 4 automobiles or tractors. It would help securing your trucks. Gorenko scratched his chin for a bit before reaching out his hand again. Fair enough. You got yourself a deal. Kantorovich smiled, knowing that he could come through for his boss as he left the general's tent, though a slight unease following. His task was not yet done, and he now had to convince the prospective companies was a little more than a hefty IOU. Hopefully they found something soon. The citizen soldier. Simply put, we do not have enough of the population to maintain a large standing army. Fortunately, this is something alleviated by the fact that many civilians already serve in our terrestrial defense force. Some particularly enthusiastically ones have even been assisting the army in some of its operations. This is good for present tense and opportunity for there's an opportunity for repeat for further expansion, even if they're not on the front. We must emphasize that it is not every citizen's duty to defend their country and provide for the soldiers who protect it. Come on, Bashkortostan, join us, join us! If we're not getting a response, this is going to be weird. Yes! Bashkiria agrees to annexation. Our diplomats return to Bashkiria. They bring with them promising news. The Bashkirs have agreed to our terms and now wish to discuss the finer details of their integration. This process is not expected to take long. Soon will be integrated into our nation as an autonomous Bashkir republic with full religious rights guaranteed. On top of this, their civilians will be given an equal say in democratic procedures. With this agreement in place, they are successfully expanding influence in this region without firing a shot. The pen is mightier than the sword. So we annex Bashkortostan. Some of its regions become one of its generals becomes one of our generals, and we core 2 regions. Also, we gained a few more troops. Some quite well trained troops too. You'll be under Andrei Lubashev. I forgot you two. Anyone else? Alright, one peacefully annexed area. So attack Tatarstan first. Tag car. That is. Yes, that is it. And delete all their troops. Tag com. Stuff done. Go for our next invasion. We're not that. And since we're not liberal conservative, return to fundamentals. If we are successful in reclaiming respect, let alone all the motherland, we must bring the military up to modern standards using whatever we have. We will need to renew the army leadership while promoting new perspectives where we can. The army must become more professional.
more disciplined and more organized. Perhaps more importantly, we will have to address the legacy of paramilitaries in our armed forces. Many of our soldiers come from quite radical backgrounds, therefore we will need to install discipline in them. To this, they will placed under a watchful eye of most of our officers. Soon, this they will understand who's in control here and what is and what isn't acceptable. Wartime. And do these two as well, I guess. T-debug. Tag gay. Ironically, it's led by a religious order. Or most likely homophobic. And I think it's a religious order, but tag gore. And it's been the 60s. It's the civil rights thing. The only place it was technically existing was in Britain, but this is not our time by Britain, and even Denver wasn't until 1967. And then it wouldn't be publicly known until like the 80s to 90s, so even then. Tag com T-debug. Andrew Fontaine became Prime Minister of Great Britain. There you go. You prepare your invasion. Prepare your invasion. Memon has taken over as Prime Minister of India. That's happened. Luckily unifies West Siberia. Ominous. West Siberian provisional authority exists. Kazan's been taken. Turn to fundamentalism and a centered capital. With the city of Vitka now firmly in our hands, we can now begin the process of moving our capital there. It is a significantly better location than capital there. It is significantly better than Svitsk, as you say, and it provides suitable place to both organize our administration and prepare for future conflict. Vitka has great potential. We will turn it into a proper center of government. Our most immediate task is to repair damage from the war, but we'll also need to remove any imperial influence and fortify the city thoroughly as soon as possible. So that's going to be our new capital. Got it. After that, consolidate our gains and finally the 1964 Constitution. Then we're finished. After that, and yes,
some other thing, I guess, such as, I don't know, event. Yeah, that's the video ended. Yeah, Militia General Volchenkov is not a man with many faces. None of his repertoire can be said to be happy in a meaningless fashion. Even so, his face has even stared at the military oversight committee. He has to be seen to be believed. He looks like he has just seen the devil in bed, head with his wife and with his watch in hand. It is fortunate that the general cannot escape this particular meeting, though. Making foul faces is fortunate for the Republic, that is, a list of staffers and senior military advisors is thrown at his desk. An unsmiling committee deputy demands more names, training times, a full infantry of equipment. Golshenkov growls that this is an unprecedented intrusion into army business on the part of few who jumpstart apparatchiks. The deputy, the iron showing in his face, points out that if the general does not hop to and give him the names, the latter will soon have no business with the army or in Komi, or in the world of the living. After a couple of minutes of such staring, the general relents. He knows he had been dealt a losing hand still, a smouldering. He writes down a list of names with such volcanic force that it tears the paper. Names of his closest staff, of his subordinates, even if of privates and corporals were below. The night, hundreds of people enter the barracks of Golchinov's command headquarters, the 20th Battalion Infantry. The next morning, about half of his number leave. Soon, some have simply vanished in the night. Some have taken surprise leave of absences. Many have apparently resigned. And all around the barracks, posters have torn or partially burnt on, or a fist carrying a bundle of sticks are hastily thrown into the fire as if to exercise a particularly unpleasant domestic dispute. In the National Assembly of Komi, a note appears on the desk of the minister. Fascist militia Iron Fist destroyed casualties. He's the 20th Battalion, 50% strength. Orders for next week. Good work, operatives. Stand for further instructions. So, entire militia in a army has been destroyed. The Krasnoye Samovo factory captured. We have acquired a tank factory, the largest producing armed vehicles in West Russia. In the aftermath of the Russian Revolution, once collapsed, fell in the hands of Nikolai Avrin and his division of bandits, who have used the factory to pump out tanks for his raid of direct concentrated Moscow. An ignoble fate of such an important piece of infrastructure. Tanks are rare amongst warlord states, warlords of Russia, making everyone who can produce them be reckoned at making trees Orky being scraped from Germans, gaining the capacity to produce tanks, or another step towards achieving nearly full-fledged nation, and another step towards declaring the final victory in the West Russian War. The power of the modern warfare is unleashed. events where it says you lost it but you haven't. When I press it, I'll lose this, so I'm not doing that. Also, Tokyo Olympics. Eventually it will D out. Soon Gabony will fall, and it has. Germany returns to. And we lost that. Even though we still have it, because the thing is broken. A new capital. Even in our turbulent and uncertain times, it is unlikely that someone could imagine that Sitge, a mid-sized city at the entrance of the rears of Russia, could become the center of Russian Republican statehood. A small if shining gleam of the devastated country, surviving a troubled transition to democracy and the attacks from radicals of all sides. Sitge finds itself a special spot in the Russian history, as some political workers of the Russian Republic developed sentimental wars through a city in which they went through the hardest challenges in their lives. It is time to admit, however, that the light of our current strategy, the Sitge no longer fires as a center of communication in West Russia. It's too close to hostile forces. The government has therefore taken up administrative initiative to move the capital to Sitge, the former resident of the short-lived rule of the self-proclaimed emperor. It is also proclaimed Tsar. In order to address these issues, whilst many officials express melancholy in needing to move, there are widespread fears that now overshadowed the city of Sitge will be left neglected. General consensus is that the relocation represents the maturation of the Republic to a state capable of controlling all of Russia. Pandora's box is laid to rest in Sitge's foundation. So now our capital is Vitke, more central. Consolidate gains resources. West Russia has been void of productivity for previous 2 decades. Not only has it been under the constant aerial assault from Germany, but it has been managed improperly by fiefdoms, their masters, who had no concern for wielding or the well-being or the will of the people. This ends now with a large swaths of land under our control. We now have the ability to make great investment and build up what we lost. Industry, business, enterprise, infrastructure, and all the necessities for a modern state are desperately needed. It is the state's duty to ensure that our society provides that all of its people, our actions and investments today or in the following years will be decided whether we fulfill the promises last we fell again, either at the hands of other Russian pretenders who care only about power, or worse, the Nazi menace. It's a bit of calm before the major storm, where we have to change our name to the occupied Guinea to the West Russian Republic, because we need to finish through the regional unification with the Smuta bit. So we get the event election year afterwards. Interesting. Very interesting. Also, Pratt inaugurated Chile. Get that all done with. Moses coup in Uruguay. Very interesting. Threat detection done. And the Cooks has taken over the Far East as expected. And roll that. A move. Time on. As expected. Tartarus and generals the Tartars fought for national state linked to the ideas of a unified Russia. Many of pardoning those fought for a republic. However, some have argued that pardoning these generals even integrate them within our armed forces will provide other branch Tartar people helping smooth over relations transition for our republic. What made the question remains: they fought for our freedom. Can they be trusted to fight for us? Yes. That gained the 1964 Constitution. Our bargaining. Inge. Burgeoning republic has faced countless foes, many being from inside our territory. Thus, the Constitution becomes increasingly important. It will maintain the security of our core values of democracy, equality, and sovereignty, making it more difficult to wannabe despots to subvert the state. The new Constitution will also be further legitimized by our government as a legal successor to the Russian Soviet Federative Socialist Republic. Not because we are communists, but because this was the last legally recognized entity that held its power over Russia. We have learnt many lessons from this old regime. What had led to its downfall and what elements it were successful. May this be the day, remembered for centuries to come, where a new Russia finally grew its wings and began to flight. Indeed, under Stalin. So eventually there will be a Stalin in charge, just not the one we think of. Time moves on.
Sorry if it feels a bit slow, but nothing's really happening.
Finally. The start of something powerful. Power was something Selena had had craved throughout her life. She had grown familiar with it through her father, but never truly tasted it until the arrival of Svitya. Now standing before the assembly of delegates from West Russia, she could no longer deny her label as anything less than strong, as she prepared to change the face of Russia and the world politics forever. Stalina spoke into the front of her. Thank you to everyone here today. For years, the Republic has been plagued by the instability for weeks, violent wrought upon them by the weak constitution of our forebears. However, now, with the hard work put in by everyone here, he can finally claim that the powerful unifying government Russia has always deserved. The president turned around and walked to the lectern, grabbing the pen. She stopped before signing. With my signature, this constitution will carry us into a new age, one of a someday unified Russia. In an instant, Stalina signed her name, turned around and greeted by applause. Getting out of the way, a line of people soon developed in her place. First was Chairwoman Bonner, followed swiftly by several ministers and delegates standing back. Stalina watched as a group before her dutifully signed off on her greatest accomplishment. A smile appeared on the wonderful sight, knowing that all her hard work had paid off. Eventually, the line dwindled as its previous occupants began talking in the euphoria of the event. The President Stalina was no particular. There were 3 Alexanders, new provisional deputies, whose influence grew fast in a short time. Solzhenitsyn, Bokalev, and Kazanbek were all curious men. Stalina thought that she would find a way to work with them all the time. A woman work is never done. And with that, and with this, the Republic of Komi unifies Western Russia, becoming the West Russian Republic. Born out of the ashes of the West Russian Revolutionary Front, the small republic of Komi managed to survive between larger rivals in its region, a safe haven for political radicals from all sides of the spectrum, like the Reform Party. The Republic became increasingly unstable, but at the end the status quo held, and the PSD, having managed to eliminate the various shades of radical opposition and ensure that West Russia united once again.
A declaration written by the President Stalin has been released, stating that Crimea has been replaced by the West Russian Free Republic, which is now limited in the territory it used to hold as the autonomous Soviet Socialist Republic, but encompasses much more. For this, used to hold as a autonomous Soviet Socialist Republic, now encompasses much more. This is proven to be a turning point and marks the final defeat of the rivals of the democratic world state in the region. It now seems that a new contender in the world, for control of Russia has appeared. Thankfully, it is a democracy. So we got all these regional development stuff that you can do. Increase by unification, negotiate with the nationalists, integrate archangels, get a 4th research slot to do in corvettes, we have navy, and finally democracy in Kobe. We'll do the PSD. Sorry. Anyway, so this was this video. Hope to see you next time, where we'll continue doing about West Russia. I hope to see you next time. I hope to see you then, and a good day. This is Smuta Limited signing out. See me next time to see more of Western Russia as Komi.